All right. So that went well, yeah?
Good night.
Yeah.
Good night.
We're actually, getting things again.
Yeah.
We haven't taken all the low-hanging fruit out of every location now.
Just in time for snow to block it all off.
Yep.
Lots of plenty fine stuff.
So I've been trying to figure out... Oh boy, Bruno's sick.
Just a bit unwell.
So that's affected by how hungry they are, the temperature. Pavel has some story.
Oh, nice.
You just can't lock kids inside with nothing to do. Life will find its way. So my boy formed a football team. They trained in a dark basement. They were so committed and came up with an idea to organize a Pogerin Cup. We invited 3 other teams, but there was a significant problem we had to overcome.
Drag for more.
Is during the conflict he's talking?
I'm not sure, actually. It might be just as the conflict was starting and they told everyone to stay in their homes.
Right, yeah.
Maybe. I say, entertainment's good and all. It would take an awful lot for me to go play soccer during a war.
That's why he started a league in his basement.
Yeah.
Look at all this stuff we could make.
Yeah.
We could make another herbal workshop. I've got 24. I could spare it.
Oh no, we're already at the top level workshop, aren't we?
We're at the top level normal workshop, not the top level metal workshop.
Oh, okay. So we can't mix bullets and such yet.
Can't make bullets, can't fix assault rifles, things like that.
Why is there a steel icon?
Oh, that was the icon that said I had moonshine to pick up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's that's not the steel icon. The steel icon is the diamond.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's just the...
It's got the same hand shape.
Yeah,
so
I think it is. So
it's different, but...
I've been trying to figure out why the scavengers say certain things about the stuff they bring back. Because the stuff I brought back from the brothel wasn't all that great, but he said I really struck gold tonight.
Well, you came back with 4 pure alcohols.
Yeah, you brought back the alcohols that you took out, so they were pretty valuable.
I think it might also have something to do with the average price of the things you bring back. I'm not sure.
That's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hungry.
Yeah, actually, seeing all the canned food in your fridge, that reminds me of, I was watching, on the recommendation of another podcast, The Flophouse, I watched a 1968 docudrama from the BBC called The War Game, which was supposed to be produced for television. It's like an hour, a broadcast hour long, so about 48 minutes. And it was about the, what would happen to England in the event of a small-scale nuclear attack that is, one where Russia, they actually go through the whole cycle of it with an international conflict starting with the Soviet Union, and then it coming to a tactical nuclear strike being involved.
Ooh.
And they talk about all of they start by talking about when the conflict reaches the certain... They weren't using DEF CON because that's, I guess, a US thing, and that system hadn't been created yet. But once they hit a certain threshold where they were certain that the missiles were going to be launched, or the bombs were going to be dropped, I guess. Actually, Russia had missiles. The UK only had bombs. They pointed out these are the places they would attack. These are our most populated areas, and also have all of our Air Force bases. And it's the city of London and some other the city of London alone contains an outstanding majority of the population. It would all be targeted at rural areas, and rural areas are the smallest but the most condensed. And so once that happens, they were talking about we would need to evacuate London to all of the rural areas where we think that they're going to be, where we think that the people are going to... Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, they backed off.
Yeah, same stuff.
But we would have to evacuate everybody to rural areas outside of the estimated blast radius of the bomb, so that people aren't immediately killed when the attacks happen. And this thing was housing, and so they go through and they're showing basically like the England had a volunteer force, but then there were also, I think, police were also involved in this, and the whole thing was called civil protection, which I think is what it was called in the States as well. I can't remember what the States volunteer like atomic war relief effort was called.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, but I can't think of the name of it.
But they're basically going through, and police are knocking on people's doors, and then when they answer, it's yes, your house has been selected. You will need to take on these. You will need to house these extra 2 families and these 10 people. And the man's like, I don't have that much food, and so it's either that or face jail time, and then like. Just people just start pouring into these houses, and then like they go to the next house and nobody's there, so they just break the door down and let everybody in.
Huh.
And then they go into the English government is giving out manuals on how to bolster your house against you're going to be out of the immediate area of the blast wave, so things aren't going to be vaporized by the hit, but there's still, the shock wave is so powerful that's probably going to blow out your windows and do a lot of damage on its own.
Huh.
So they start handing out manuals on how to build, like, not a fallout shelter, but something that can stop the blast wave and the heat wave and maybe some of the gamma rays, maybe.
Yeah.
And they show a man who's handing them out for free, and the reporter that's following him says shouldn't these have been distributed before? And he says, well, we did try and distribute them before, but they didn't sell well.
Huh.
It's like they weren't given out for free. No, people fear death. And then naturally, because all the manuals are given out just before the time of need, there's a run on all construction stores. And so there's a lack of materials, and also businesses start gouging people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's talking about like how much it costs for sandbags and sand and nails. And this woman says like all I have is like 20 quid because I'm spending the rest of it on food for all these families that just moved into my house.
Yeah.
And the narrator says, with 20 quid, she could buy 2 full sandbags, 7 nails, and 4 boards. And then they go to this other guy that's very well-to-do, who's like, he's built a whole sandbag wall in his living room, and then has also built a second, like, smaller shelter out in his garden.
Huh.
Which he has, like, a double-barrel shotgun hidden under. And then it finally comes to the escalation of the conflict, and NATO forces and Soviet forces have missiles positioned, and they finally launch, and they get into the devastation of of one Russian thermonuclear missile.
Oh yeah.
And they talk about like past the initial impact, they go out into like the countryside where we saw all the families get evacuated to, and like they talk about they talk about the emergency alert system, which is supposed to provide everybody about 10 minutes.
Look at all this shabby shit.
8 bullets is nothing to.
Yeah, that's gonna keep raiders away for like 3 days. But they start talking about the blast wave when it gets into the country. And they also talk about the emergency warning efforts and how that's supposed to provide about 10 minutes for people to actually be able to get to a safe area.
Okay.
But realistically, Soviet missiles will reach their destination in about 8 minutes, and the detection, even with the best detection at the time, it may take upwards of 3 to 4 minutes to even find out that missiles had been launched, and another 2 or 3 minutes to relay that information to somebody who can launch an air raid siren. And they're saying, at best case, you'll probably have about 2 minutes to get to your shelter, and in worst case, probably about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And so they have civil protection going around from house to house, and they're getting back in their car, and they hear the air raid siren, and they immediately go back to the house that they were they're talking to, bang on the door, get the people in, and they start like just shoving bookcases and like building an emergency shelter area because this family didn't have enough money to build anything since there was a run on supplies.
Yeah.
And so they're just like shoving bookshelves and the dining table. And they found out that there's somebody else out back who wasn't in the house, so the other civil protection worker tries to get him, and then the blast wave, the blast goes off, and the first thing that happens is that there's the flash from the thermonuclear missile, which is 30 times brighter than the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are actually, the first people they show in the place are kind of in the outer city area, so they're close enough they're not hit by the blast wave, but the flash alone gives them like second and third degree burns.
Yeah.
And lights the curtains in the house on fire.
Oh, the basement's drained out.
Oh yeah, weird. I did not see what you did to do that.
It's possible that it just drained out when I came back, but
Yeah.
the only other thing I did beyond that was I went up way up top and got into an area with a bunch of like electronic stuff in it. So maybe it like pumped out or something.
Like maybe it might just be that it's filled up on a given night. Maybe I have no idea. Does it ever refill?
Not as far as I know.
Oh, those are dumpsters. I thought those were mine carts for some reason.
Oh yeah, Kevin, this is a little off topic, but speaking of all the canned goods we've got, you know how our grandparents' basement is basically a museum of canned goods?
Yeah.
I think I found the worst one.
Really?
Yep.
What? How bad?
A can of bacon and bean soup. Expired in 2003.
Yeah. I mean, Dad used to clean the cans out, but she just kind of replaces them, and they just go bad again, so he just kind of leaves them up there because no one ever gets into them. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That reminds me of when we were cleaning out my grandma's place after her estate sale, and my parents found literally a garbage bag that was just full.
Bruno's not sick anymore.
That was just literally full of used pencils from when she worked as a secretary.
Yeah. On that note, I never want to touch a decorative Jello mold again. Never, ever. We moved a hoarder one time.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
And,
Yeah, sorry I got you into that. We should have made better money for that, but we were young.
the money was alright. Probably not for the job, but...
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I think I was like, 17? You were like 14 or something like that. We worked hard.
Yeah. I got a tan.
We worked hard enough that apparently other people from the church were asking about us, and Paul and Judy weren't comfortable with us doing it anymore.
I'd have done it.
I know, I probably would have done it too, but that's why they were not having them come to us anymore, because we would have.
And, like, bear in mind, the average age of the other mover was probably about 60.
Yeah, they were older people from a Unitarian church,
Oh, okay.
and we were basically the only able-bodied people, or most able-bodied people.
Alright, let's make up some beef bowls.
Yeah.
Who
beef
gets
bowl with
canned goods today? Is it Pavel again?
Also, I like that your thermometer's like tan.
Yeah, it turns.
It's not sure. It's not sure if it's hot or not.
It turns a little bit beige around the the middle zone.
It's a little
Easier
chilly.
to fall ill when it's cold.
It's a lot of eats the canned goods today.
But yeah, going back to the war
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Once you get past the were you gonna?
No, I was getting back on that topic. It was interesting.
Franco.
Yeah. But once they get past the initial devastation of the blast, they start talking about like how to curb it. So like, So, like, firefighters go down to London to try and actually, like, deal with the fire that happened from the bomb.
Yeah.
And the problem is that the fire is so intense that it's creating back pressure.
Oh, no.
And so when firefighters actually enter into the area, they have to not only deal with the fire, but basically hurricane force winds that are getting drawn into the blaze.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Well, the blast itself is going to mess up air currents because the mushroom cloud is basically just caused because the nuclear blast vaporizes the air in the area and leaves a massive vacuum.
Right.
So the air currents are not going to react well to anything.
And they apparently were comparing this to, like, the bombing of Hamburg, I guess.
Okay.
During World War II, where so many bombs were dropped that the streets melted.
Huh.
From the blaze. And then the other thing that they were showing was, like, the firefighters that are actually able to try and fight the fire. I mean, there's a major disruption in infrastructure because a bomb just blew up the city. But then also, this is like 1960s fire gear, so they don't have oxygen tanks or anything, they just have gas masks. And all of them start dying from carbon monoxide poisoning from all of the fire they just start asphyxiating because the fire is just eating all the breathable air.
That's pretty dark.
Once the fires, like, die down, like, the survivors that get out of the vehicles also immediately succumb to carbon monoxide poisoning. And then medical teams start trying to organize triage, and it gets into very, very dark places.
Yeah.
Because it's just. And then in this, they're cutting back and forth between, like, university experts and people on the street about there was apparently a regulation that everybody was supposed to be taught about radiation. And so they just have a man on the street segment where they're just asking people what they know about all these different radioactive compounds, and, like, they're like, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what thorium is. And then there's another part as they're cutting back and forth between the devastation from the bomb, and they say that the RAF has scrambled bombers in retaliation. And then they come back and to the people on the streets saying, if there was a nuclear strike on the United Kingdom, would you want to retaliate? And there's sort of a mixed response between people who say absolutely we should retaliate, and some people that are saying, well, it's absolutely terrible and I don't want it to happen, but we can't just sit and let ourselves be attacked.
Yeah, we've come very, very close to nuclear annihilation on entirely too many occasions.
Yeah. I think the Cuban Missile Crisis was the Doomsday Clock got to 2 minutes from midnight at that point.
Yeah, it was even worse than that. At one point, the destroyer blockade, a nuclear submarine captain authorized a nuclear strike against the blockade. His first officer seconded it, which was the failsafe. The only thing that stopped the strike was that the admiral in the area overrode their countermanded the order.
Oh wow! So it almost actually happened.
Yeah, we almost had a nuclear strike against the destroyer blockade, which the situation may very well have devolved very rapidly after that.
We were almost T plus 1 minute to midnight.
Yeah, 1 minute past midnight.
Yeah,
12:01.
That's
intense. Any news?
There's also that story about one of the Russian base commanders. They had a massive flaw in their radar detection. It was registering like 30 unknown objects traveling out of the U.S. toward Russia, and he was supposed to retaliate, but he I mean, he either had a crisis of conscience, or he choked, or something. He wouldn't give the order to return fire. And,
which turned out to save everybody.
Save humanity. He didn't believe it was actually happening. That he was fired for a failure to obey orders.
For insubordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually reminds me of two different things. You know that multiple different nations actually had different policies in place for what to do if the nation was destroyed in a nuclear strike, but there were still nuclear facilities there were still nuclear launch capabilities available.
Yeah.
That was it just
one of them
was
is
it just launch?
So in the case of the Soviet Union, they actually had stations that if they didn't receive instructions every 24 hours, they would launch an ICBM that had a micro-transmitter in it that, as it flew over other missile silos, would give them the order to launch.
Oh. Oh no.
But the more interesting one I find is that every time, ever since England has become a nuclear power and has had nuclear submarines, every time there's a new prime minister, they issue a secret mandate which is put in a safe in nuclear submarines, which is to be read if the United Kingdom is destroyed.
Huh. So we don't know at any given point.
That mandate will say whether or not they should attack.
Huh. Wow.
Because at that point, what's the point? What are you fighting for?
Yeah.
Well, that's heavy, but are you ready to go to a new zone?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're hitting the church
Going
tonight.
to the church? Going to the chapel? We're going to get married?
Yeah, so there's also two versions of this. This is the bad side.
Oh, good.
You never know. Let's shovel up.
Might have to shovel a man.
Let's knife up.
That's what we have a knife for.
Yeah, this is the side that's bad. The good side is just like the priest is there, you can trade with them. Here,
there's some people down in the catacombs.
Yeah, here the main church is largely empty and the vestry behind it is full of bandits.
So is this better or worse than getting Bad Hotel?
Well, you can always just sort of not go, but...
Yeah, I would say I fear Bad Hotel more than I fear this one.
Yeah.
Also, I like that the church was kind of under construction at the time that the attack happened.
That's only in the bad version, actually.
Yeah, you can just sort of walk in.
Yeah, you walk in if it's
shit.
the good version.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, there is this guy.
He's
We'll call for the boiler.
Now, you saw earlier. This used to be Marco's church.
Mode.
And he doesn't take kindly to this shit.
Yeah, I did see that. Oh shit. Yeah, you just murked that fool.
Yep,
Oh,
that's
nice.
That's the backstab.
Except Marco doesn't even have that level of combat, right?
Marco
So he just
is
got a free
considered
attack?
he's considered like a decent combat guy. So that wasn't like an instant kill, it was just enhanced damage.
Rifle and 8 bullets, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a hell of a scrap.
Yeah, it would have
It
gone
been
well if
short,
he noticed.
one way or another.
Nothing. So I think these have been hit by the many radio events that I missed.
Right. At least you got another gun and a lot of bullets.
Yeah, but we can go down the catacombs, see if there's other stuff to pick up. Dang it. Didn't bring a saw blade.
Don't think you have to, do you? I think you can either...
You can go around.
Yeah, you can go around through like 3 piles or something.
Another shotgun.
Just so many guns.
Oh, and just think about the combat system. If
I
you
like that you have shotgun plus knife.
Yeah, so there's now a new option where you use the shotgun if they're at range, or the knife if they're close.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Marco was just taking duct tape and making a field bayonet.
No, it's remember the basics of CQC.
Let me just slot a place in my shotgun stock to hold a knife.
Knife gun. Yep, so just digging through the catacombs. Off to the east is all the bandits. So let's hope they don't come to find their buddy. Find some sugar.
Oh yeah, can you not even move the body or anything?
Nah.
Do they respond when they see dead bodies? Like, I'm guessing they do, but...
I've never seen them do it, actually.
They probably do. No one comes over here to check that body. In fact, normally you would listen to that guy, he'd go, there should be some ammo.
He did say that, yeah.
He messes around for a minute, and then he leaves and goes to the vestry, where the rest of his friends are.
Now, I could go up top.
Or you could saw your way through, then dig your way through, then probably get through a locked door.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cut my losses now that I have 2 shotguns.
Yeah, then you're in the basement of the vestry.
Really thought a man with 2 wives would be happy. No, that's a man with 2 knives.
So, that is our first killing.
Yeah. Like, for some reason, I'm reminded of the Hunger Games. Very simple in execution.
Yeah.
Very difficult in every other respect.
Be polite, be efficient, have a plan to kill everyone you meet.
Yeah.
Now, we actually came to some pretty good success with the knife, and like, we used the knife and got 2 shotguns, right?
Yeah, that was a pretty even exchange.
Yeah,
We kept the knife, too.
even kept the knife. All we lost was some shovel charge.
And some innocence.
But I think Pavel might have gotten some ideas from that.
The guy was a threat to something. Oh. So there's going to be some conflict between Pavel and Marco now?
We need to meditate on our crimes.
Until next time, Internet.
Our crimes. You're a part of this now.
You're a witness.